Hi everybody. It's been a while since I've had an opportunity to make some videos, but there's a lot of things kind of going on, so I wanted to, now that I have a quiet moment in the house, I wanted to actually post some videos up for you guys. First off, this first video is going to be related to the subject that's been going around especially between Clackclickbang, DeTzardis and Tetsubo have been posting some videos, and as well as they've been getting lots of comments and feedback on them about a Bioshock role-playing game. And I think the idea is fantastic. I really like the Bioshock video games, or at least the first one. I'm still waiting on the postman to come by to deliver Bioshock 2. I ordered it online about 2 weeks ago, and I still haven't seen it, so that's been unfortunate. But I think it's a great idea because I think it's a very fertile playing ground for role-playing opportunities, and mostly because it's so rich with atmosphere, and there's a lot of background and there's a lot of details, and I think there's a lot of intrigue and horror that's potentially twistable into a role-playing adventure plot or campaign structure. And it would take a good kind of devoted game master to really put it together into a format that is, put it together into a type of game that it deserves to be. But I think it is really ripe for a lot of interesting play. And now the other guys have already kind of hit just about all the points that I could think of in terms of trying to actually structure a campaign, and talking about the intrigue and talking about the factional infighting and getting the players wrapped up in that. And I really think that that would be the best angle to approach a Bioshock role-playing campaign, is to as the game master, to present a milieu of different factions, and that each faction has its own objectives, and they have their own belief systems and basically their own goals, and that you attach the player characters to one or more of these particular factions, obviously for the sake of unity and making the game flow and making everybody get along and enjoy each other's company. I would tend to suggest that all of the players, for whatever reason, and this could be something that's built into the background of the game, or it could be something that the game master encourages through the actual play sessions, but that all the players end up on the same side, so to speak, because I've been in too many games where players are allowed to kind of take up whichever side they wish, even if it completely contrasts to the belief systems of the other PCs in the party. Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with that, because you want the player characters and the players to be approaching the game from different angles and to be tailoring their characters based upon their own ideas, and it gets a little difficult when you try to just mash everybody together and say, this is the way you got to play your character. But the problem is, then you get into all this infighting, and you get into squabbles, and you get into people who want to go off on their own tangents that aren't related to the group, that end up consuming a lot of the group's time. And so it just kind of detracts from the game. So I would suggest that from a factional standpoint, that all the characters should be linked up in a way that they are at least working together on the surface, even if their own particular agendas, beneath the surface, might differ. An excellent kind of example that Clackclickbang gave was from Cold City, where all the characters are put into a position where they are forced to work together, but they come from different backgrounds, and so they have different biases, and they have their own trust issues between the PCs, and that can add a whole lot of flavor and a whole lot of interesting role-playing to the game. So I don't discourage that at all, but I do encourage that they have a similar purpose, that all of the PCs need to be pursuing more or less the same goals, so that they feel that everybody's getting an equal share of the attention of the game. But aside from a story campaign structure standpoint, from a mechanical standpoint, I think Clackclickbang also hit on something really interesting when he suggested that the World of Darkness game system be a good place to start if you're homebrewing your own system for Bioshock, as opposed to going out and trying to license the game to make your own, published role-playing game for it. If you were just trying to take something to modify to run your own home games of Bioshock, I think the old World of Darkness, now I can't speak for the new World of Darkness, I'm not familiar enough with it, but the old World of Darkness structure seems like it would really fit, would really easily be tweakable to create Bioshock type of tropes. The example of disciplines or spheres from the different White Wolf World of Darkness games being in tiered levels, I think fits with the plasmid idea really well. That you could have, your incinerate plasmid, and you could start off, with a very low level, maybe you can generate a tiny flame at the end of your thumb or something like that. To, you can progress, you can advance in these plasmids as your characters come into them, and as they continue to splice up, so to say, that the plasmids themselves can get more profound and more, they can do more with them. And I started to think about this, and I even think that approaching the idea of Eve, which fuels the plasmids, I was trying to think of how to tackle that, because I would want, in my own ideas of a Bioshock game, I would want some kind of a balancing element to the plasmid use, in that you can't just run around using plasmids all day long at anybody and everybody. That the idea of the Eve is, it's consuming some kind of an internal, energy or essence from you. Where in the video game you have Eve hypos, that basically you're reloading your plasmid juice, and I don't think I would approach it from that angle, that you can just slap in a hypo and that you can charge back up your Eve points or something like that. But I stumbled across the concept of kind of taking a reverse version of Vampire the Masquerade's blood points, and rather than having the blood points at a pool and they slowly deplete, you basically lose a blood point a day just to sustain yourself. I kind of thought of, well, what if you kind of reversed this idea? Instead of having a blood pool, your character has an Eve pool, and it's at set at a certain level, and you use Eve points when you're powering your plasmids, and your Eve replenishes, at a slow rate. Maybe it's 1 point of Eve per day or something like that. And even then, if you wanted to reintroduce the idea of an Eve hypo, that you can, jack yourself up with a boost of Eve juice, maybe that using an Eve hypo will replenish 1 point of Eve or something like that. So I think that's I think it does make a really good starting point, even from making the player characters feel, mortal. That I would go with kind of the revised 2nd edition World of Darkness rule that mortal characters cannot soak lethal damage. So if somebody comes at you with a knife or a gun, you really will scramble and find cover or get away if you're unarmed yourself, because guns are dangerous, knives are dangerous, and you just don't want to get involved in that. And I think that would approximate the right kind of sense of fragility, that your characters are not superheroes running around, even if you've juiced up with plasmids, that you're not, running around, just blasting anybody and everybody, and have no hesitation or no fear of repercussion. I think keeping the characters feeling fragile, unless of course you might have some of those armored plasmids or skin hardening or something like that can beef your character's toughness up. But just some things to think about. I do like the idea, and if I had some more time, or when I have some more time, I'll probably be plugging some things together to kind of maybe see if I can hash out some rules for creating Bioshock using World of Darkness system. Because I think it's a good idea. I think it's a really easy point to start from. I think it's really easily manipulable. and think it could be a lot of fun. So I'd like to continue this discussion. It's been really encouraging to hear all the folks chiming in with input about it. And I'm running out of time, but I'll probably post another video soon with some more thoughts on Bioshock. And I'd love to hear, your comments and suggestions, because I think it's a really awesome idea, and if I get an opportunity, I definitely want to run it for one of my groups. So, anyway, food for thought. Thanks for the discussion, guys. It's really cool. Talk to you guys soon. I'll be posting a couple more videos today if I can. Thanks.